Delighted to be joined by next guest, good man as well, Matthew Torbitt, former Labour advisor in Washington, D.C. Matt, what are you doing there?
I was out there on a busman's holiday and hoping Kamala Harris would win.
Were you? You can't possibly have hoped that empty vessel could have won. You didn't believe she was going to, though, mate, did you? Seriously.
I think you have to have hope. I think Donald Trump is someone that I was fearful of.
Why?
I'm unsure that working class people and ordinary people are at the forefront of his mind. I think he masquerades as a workers' champion.
Why do they listen to him then if he masquerades? Because that's actually, and I'm not just jumping in straight away, but I would absolutely say that you're wrong in that I believe he's won because normal working class Americans, not the political elite in Washington or the lefty liberals who think that it's all about school ideology, they are going. And if you break down the figures, Matt, it says that he won that election because they were concerned about the economy, the price of groceries and immigration. Number two, 1 and 2, those were the reasons.
And I would absolutely agree with you. That doesn't mean that he has working class people at the forefront of his mind. That also isn't to say that not only did Donald Trump win this election, the Democrats lost it and almost gave it to him, because I think one of the biggest frustrations was that, and really she lost it there and then, is that Kamala Harris focused this campaign on Trump and attacking Trump rather than articulating a vision. And as you've just said, I think what people are fed up of is politicians speaking in middle-class politics speak. Absolutely. And the ordinary American, the same way that we will no doubt see in 5 years here, the ordinary Brit will want to vote for somebody that is seen as an alternative because they don't trust government, they don't trust the elites, and it's priced in what people probably may or may not.
You sort of understand that, and I get what you're saying about Kamala Harris. I mean, and I'm not being unfair, right? But this is a woman who couldn't get on the ballot. This is a woman who I spent a load of the campaign saying on this show, Donald Trump should be talking about how she failed in immigration, how she's been part of 4 years that hasn't put America economically where it was under Trump. Yes, warts and all, says terrible things, messes up, but I believe that he won that election because people will say he's got a plan. He is going to do what he says he's going to do. He's had everything thrown at him, whether he should have had that or not, and he doesn't give a toss. And that, I think people, you've just made the point, I think people are going to be looking at this country and going, hold on a second. I mean, let's get politicians, you know, love them or loathe them. Let's get people who offer us something, believe in it, and we'll try and implement that irrespective of what it does. And I think that's an important point. I want to bring, I know you're in Washington enjoying yourself. Kemi Badenoch, the new Tory leader, this was really interesting. David Lammy is in a bit of a difficult position, the Foreign Secretary for Labour. I had this sent to me by somebody this morning. 7 years ago, David, I mean, you're going to say 7 years, but 7 years ago, David Lammy, which I think is quite interesting, said that, read the Daily Mail story today. Yes, if Donald Trump ever comes back to the UK, I will be out protesting on the streets. He's a racist KKK and Nazi sympathiser. So Kemi Badenoch jumps up and says, I'd like to start by congratulating President-elect Trump on his impressive victory this morning. The PM and the Foreign Secretary met in September. Did the Foreign Secretary take that opportunity to apologise for making derogatory and scatological references, including, and I quote, Trump is not only a woman-hating, neo-Nazi sympathising sociopath, he's also a profound threat to international order. David Lammy won't stay in that job now, will he? Not in a million years.
I think it would be easy to reshuffle him out.
Yeah.
The difference is you don't want this to look like a win for the Conservatives very early on. And regardless of what David Lammy has said, which is obviously ill-advised, and I would have thought would have been tweeted in response to Trump's comments many years ago in Charlotte when saying there was good people on both sides, when there was, you know, very awful people on the streets. And I get that in context. However, he's the Foreign Secretary now. He has been out to meet him. Now, what Donald Trump tends to do, and what people like Nigel Farage say Trump tends to do, is he forgives, right? And if David Lammy has gone out there, you don't need to give a running commentary on what you're talking to Donald Trump about. You don't need to give a running commentary on whether you've apologised or not. what Labour probably need to do is hunker down and try and get the best thing they can out of Donald Trump, whether that be a trade deal, whether that be being first in line with regards to a special relationship.
Did you see what Nigel Farage said on Mike Graham? Did you? I mean, I know you've been busy. Everybody has. He actually said, "I'll help Starmer. I'm interested in Great Britain. I want the United Kingdom to have a relationship with Donald Trump." But Donald Trump, he might well be somebody who forgives, but I'm pretty sure he's going to pardon himself on day one, sack all the judges, and he might say to Keir Starmer, "If you want a trade deal, you better get rid of Lamy." That I'd love to have been. I'm sure you would, Matt, as well. Wouldn't you love to have been a bleeding fly on the wall in number 10 when that result came in last night or early in the morning?
I'd have honestly have rather have been a fly on the wall when they met with him and went there to go and sort of kiss the ring and sort of reverse ferret on probably a lot of what they said and all played happy families. I think that would have been more fascinating.
Yeah.
I think, look, let's see what happens. I think the thing is with Trump that I'd be wary of is that he's made regardless of what anyone thinks of him, he has made a great success of shafting people through life and will always ensure he gets the best of what he can get. And on top of that, he will tend to want to humiliate you. He did it with Megyn Kelly after she'd been slating him at his final rally. He brought her up on stage, which she wasn't expecting, and made her give a bit of a speech. And it's almost like, yeah, you'll pay for this. I'm not going to, do it in a dictatorial fashion, but you'll pay for this. So whether the country therefore pays for it, and obviously what input Elon Musk will have into all this, who's obviously no great fan of the Prime Minister and the current Labour government, will remain to be seen. So they need to be very wary and handled in with sort of kid gloves, really. And but I wouldn't be giving a running commentary if I was them on what's being said and whether they've apologised and whatever else.
I've said it before, you're one of the few lefties that I have on this show. How long are you in Washington, D.C. for, kiddo?
I'm back next week.
Good man. Well, listen, enjoy. We really appreciate it. Matthew Torbitt, former Labour advisor.